Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. I am sick, which is unfortunate, but in today's video I have basically searched up the best sci-fi books on the internet and I'm going to be reading those books because if you know me, you know that I mostly read fantasy and romance, which it's not like I'm sick of those genres, but I do kind of want to broaden my horizons. I searched up online like the best sci-fi books, and some of these books I've recognized. I don't really know what they're about, but some of them are in my like want to read list, so I'm going to be picking those books and I'm going to be reading them so I can like get rid of them from my Goodreads want to read this. And the first book that I'm going to be reading is 𝐼𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻. I don't know what this book is about, but I have seen it before. I honestly thought it was a fantasy book. Like, I didn't realize that it was sci-fi, but I feel like it could possibly be a mixture of both of them. I literally have no idea what's going on in this book. Basically, the first chapter, there's this whole battle going on and there's like an evil entity or like a species or something like that, and basically the people are fighting against them. And I cannot envision this battle because I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea what these creatures are. So the whole entire time I'm sitting there, I'm reading it and I'm just seeing the words. The further on we get into the story, it's basically set in this futuristic world, but it's really weird because I feel like it has traditional Chinese culture. They mention things like qi, they have like foot binding, and it's really weird because I feel like it's set in the past but they have technology. And it really confuses me because they have this whole thing called like crystallization, where you basically, I don't really know, you take over the thing. I would say it's kind of like the thing Voltron, where you like control the body of like an automation or something like that. But I feel like it's very conflicting because it's supposed to be sci-fi and I'm like, this doesn't really seem sci-fi. I feel like it could be like fantasy. So it was really hard for my head to, I think, bring those things together. I swear the girl in this book is very unhinged, but it makes sense because she grew up in a very abusive household. If you like the puppy war, I feel like you would probably like this book because it's a morally grey character, and I'm pretty sure she goes crazy and kills a bunch of people, but I haven't reached that part yet. I'm nearly halfway through this book and so far I feel like I'm still in the beginning of it. The plot, I wouldn't say it's slow. We are, I guess, getting the background story, but I will say the only thing that is saving this book from being boring is the writing. We get introduced to two male leads, which first is 𝐸𝐮, and I don't really know much about him to have an opinion on him, but he seems like a really nice guy, very gentle. Who knows, he may change. And then we get introduced to 𝐸𝐮, who is basically a murderer. He killed his parents and there's a lot of prejudice against him because of that, but he's forced to take part of like this army that kills like the evil creatures. And so far, like, I kind of like him because the way that he's presented to other people, but like the way that we see them interact, is kind of cute because he's basically like a nerdy guy who's like really awkward. I would say I'm not the biggest fan of the main character. I don't know, there's just something about her. I feel like it encapsulates female rage, but at the same time I feel like, to explain it in simple words, she's not a girl's girl. She cares about women, but she's not a girl's girl. I don't really know if that makes sense. So I ended up DNFing 𝐼𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻 because I just didn't have any motivation to read it. And I feel like it wasn't the type of book that I wanted to read. It just had a lot of anger in it, okay? And I don't really want to read that. I did really like the plot and the writing, however, it was just not my time to read the book, so I decided to DNF it. I did start reading another book which is called Heart of Iron, and it's basically like a Romanov Anastasia retelling but set in space, which, you know, I never thought I would read a book with that plot, but it is pretty interesting. I will say so far I really like the action scenes because it's really cool. It's set in space, okay? I love books that are set in space. But the romance is not my favorite. I don't really like the way that it is written, and I don't know, some parts of it, it's a little bit weird. Like, it's not coming across as like they have chemistry. Some parts of it they do, other parts I'm like, I don't really care about the romance, so like, please just give me the action scenes.
Please. We'll talk about love some other time.
Look, I'm kind of having a difficult time imagining the characters because Anna, her love interest, is a robot. He's a hunk of metal. And in my head, I'm like, how am I supposed to imagine him and how can I justify this romance? I tried to search a fan art and everything, but this book doesn't have fan art, which is just like, it's making me very difficult to root for the relationship, especially because I question everything. Okay, so I just finished reading Heart of Iron, and overall I really like the plot and the found family. However, I did not like the characters. I also didn't really like the romance in this book. I feel like with Anna and D1 or whatever his name is called, they just didn't have any build up with their relationship. It was just already there, and then I was like, it's not fun to read anymore. There was also no like chemistry between them, and so I don't really care about Anna and her middleman. I was very interested in Jax and Rob in the beginning of the book when they first met each other, but then their romance also progressed really quickly. Like over the span of one book, 1/4 of the book, they already admitted that they were like basically in love with each other, and I was like, please. I did really like the plot twist or the revelation. That was very interesting to read. But I don't know, something about the writing as well was kind of like cheesy. Anna as well acted like a little child. She was angry a lot. She kept like stomping around. She was very dramatic, and that really annoyed me. I don't know, there were so many things in this book that kind of just like pissed me off. And I think once I reached halfway through the book, I just wasn't interested in it anymore. I wanted to stop reading it, and I was kind of not motivated to finish it. But at the same time, I was like, it's not a bad book. I can definitely read it. The writing is okay. The plot is very interesting. I did want to read the second book, but I'm not sure if I want to read it now. The next book that I'm going to be reading is One, which is the second book to Ruse. I don't remember what Ruse is about. I read it ages ago. However, the cover, it's literally gorgeous, so that's basically why I wanted to read this. I think a duology, and I wanted to finish it because I've been wanting to read One for a while, but it just never came up. So I'm basically going into this book blind. I have no idea what the second book is about. Don't remember what happens in the first book, so I don't really remember what happens in One. However, I do understand the plot of the overall story. Basically, it's set in a futuristic China, and we have this little friend group that have special skills, and there's this evil man called Jin who is basically like really rich, and he's in control of all of China because all his inventions and stuff like that benefits China. But obviously because he's rich, he's also a very greedy man, and he's very corrupt and will basically do anything for his own gain. This group is trying to take him down because he did them wrong, okay? He did so many things wrong, and they're trying to kind of, I think, expose his bad character to the whole of media so that he can like go to jail. That's basically the whole premise of this book. I do really like the writing and the overall like sci-fi world. It has some sort of, you know, those things where it's like this little found family group and they're like working together and against like a bad guy. I don't know, something about that just feels so nostalgic and comforting to read. However, I will say that I don't know, I am getting a little bit bored of what's going on. I am enjoying reading it, but I definitely do think that I need to go back and forth between books so that I can fully, I think, take in the book. Okay, so I finished reading Ruse, which I really enjoyed. I think once I took a little break from the book and I came back, I enjoyed it a lot more, and then I literally read the whole thing, which I read this during my lecture, by the way. So like half of the time I was reading it, the other half I was like typing my notes, and then I was also like, oh my god, I can't focus on this book because I was reading it on my iPad as well, and I was listening to my lecture. But it was fun. I wouldn't say it was like extremely high stakes, and the ending was like satisfying because, you know, it was a happy ending. It was good. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was just like a very fun, simple sci-fi book. I loved the characters and just their interactions with each other and how we got to see them develop throughout the series. And I'm so happy with the way that it ended. That's all I'm gonna say. The next book that I'm going to be reading is The Loneliest Girl in the Universe, which I don't know what this book is about, but it is the last book that I'm going to be reading in this video. I read a good chunk of The Loneliest Girl in the Universe, and it's basically about this girl who's born on a spaceship and her parents pass away. Which, talk about bad parenting, because she's literally stuck on the spaceship. She's lived there for her whole entire life, never been to Earth. She doesn't have any human interaction because she's alone in space. And basically there's this new spaceship that is being sent out to connect with hers, and the whole plot is like them finding Earth number 2, so like a whole different planet that they could live in. And basically the whole entire time they are sending messages to each other. I will be honest, this book so far, it's very repetitive. Obviously she doesn't have a lot of things to do, but I don't really know, it's kind of repetitive, a little bit boring, but at the same time I feel like the writing is easy to get through, so I'm kind of flying through it really quickly, but at the same time I don't want to. I don't really have the motivation to read it or finish it. I will eventually finish it because I feel like it's a pretty fast book. I have 35 minutes left. Nothing exciting is happening. I was expecting for it to pick up like maybe 40-50% into the book, but I feel like everything's gonna happen at the end of the book. So I finished reading The Loneliest Girl in the Universe, and I was right. The last 20% is literally where everything happens, but I'll be honest, like I didn't really care about the book because I was so disconnected from the characters, and just like the main character, the other character, everything that happened, the whole plot twist, the revelation, I feel like it was supposed to be exciting and surprising, but to me it just fell really flat because I just didn't care about the storyline, I didn't care about the characters, and I felt like there was no build-up to the whole plot twist. The whole entire time we have the repetition of the things that she experiences in her spaceship, and then that happens, and I don't know, it didn't do the book justice in my opinion. But that's basically all that I'm reading in this video. I think next time if I do this video again, I'm just gonna read sci-fi, okay? Not YA. I don't know why I was like, I should read YA sci-fi books. No, I should just read sci-fi books because I feel like I was missing out on a lot of good sci-fi books because I was like, I should just read YA sci-fi. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you want to, of course, and I will see you guys in another video. Bye!